You are pitching yourself for a podcast, for an event, to be on stage, to be like showcase on somebody's platform. You need to put the work, and we just gave you a framework for you to actually do it. I know that so many of you actually want to start speaking on more stages, and this is going to help you tremendously. Also, we're going to have a speaker contest next year. So, this would be very smart for you to save this episode, study it, and then come pitch me. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ati Greenspan. I'm a personal branding coach and business strategy, and I help you, coaches and service providers, figure it out what to post, what to do on and off social media so you can consistently get clients and grow your business. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Be Brand podcast. And this one is like dear and near to my heart because 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I can't remember, I can find it later, but we ran a speaker contest for women to apply to speak at Be Brand Live. And we got so many responses. It was amazing. I was humbled. And one of the things that it was very important for me to do is to educate the people that didn't win, right? In what were the things that made or break their application. And I am going to say it was the hardest thing ever because obviously a lot of the people that apply, I knew them, but then also a lot were really, really good. However, with that being said, there were so many things that I think you as an applicant, but then also you, if you listen to your podcast, you are growing a personal brand, you have a small business, and maybe you are dreaming of, speaking at Be Brand Live next year, or maybe you want to speak at other events. So I want to break down for you what was the criteria that we use and what were the things that we looked at. And also, I wanted to share this. In my particular case, I actually brought a group of women to help me. So I had a speaker contest committee because guys, I know a lot of the people that actually applied. So I wanted this to be not only fair, but I wanted to be completely non partial when it came to how the winners were picked. So here we're going to start. Okay. My goal is that you can leave today with like a 90-second pitch template and kind of like a criteria that we used. And not all events use that same criteria, but I think that you having a checklist to avoid automatic no's. There were things that could have been avoided that I felt like there were such easy ways for people to say yes. And one of the things I'm going to say too is this past week, I actually coached two of my clients that were applying to another event that is happening actually to She Is Made for More from my friend Crystal. If you listen to episode, I think it was like 3 or 4 episodes ago, we did a collaboration. We had some tickets to our events going out together. And shameless plug, her event is October. So she still have tickets. I'm going to drop that link in the show notes. But several of my clients applied to speak at her events, and I used the same concept that I am going to share with you today. And one of them actually got selected and she won, and she's going to be speaking on stage. So without further ado, let's get started. So number one, what was the criteria that we actually use in order to judge, if you want to call it? Now, for those of you that were not part of the contest, I want to give you some background. So what we did is we asked all of the speakers and to submit I believe it was 90-second reel on Instagram with their pitch. Okay. We also asked them to tag me and tag Be Real Live. And, that's the way that they had to submit. So this is important because the reason why usually somebody would put rules is so it's actually easy to find the entries, is actually a way to also promote the event. And one of the things that we saw is like a lot of people were not following the rules, right? It's like, for me, having been a triathlete for 10 years, and then before that, being a world champion flair bartender and competing on competitions, guys, the number one thing that you can do to actually win something before you make a mistake is actually follow the fucking rules. Okay. So, like, that is kind of a given. But this was our 3-point criteria that I gave my judges to use throughout the videos. Now, I was there and I didn't have the final say, but I was there kind of moderating the conversation. And it was so tough, you guys. It was so tough because also there were people that were my clients and people that I know that they are amazing and they have a message, but we obviously need to make sure that we are just looking at the 90 seconds that they are providing us. So the 3-point criteria was, number one was value. Now, value refers to what will attendees be able to do, know, or change after your talk. Number two was relevance. Now, why is your topic, this topic that you are going to be talking about, relevant to this particular room? So, for example, for us, this year, while the event is a personal branding conference, all topics are money and community, right? So how this topic that you are pitching for me or for another event is actually relevant to the audience. Okay. I'm going to give you some examples later. And then the third one is your energy and the state of your presence when you actually are pitching. Does your video show that you can hold the room, right? Because you're pitching me or anybody. I'm going to use me because I am using the videos that were submitted for us. But I want you to know that the whole idea of this episode is that you can go and pitch yourself to networking events, to big events, to podcasts, to all of it. The concepts are the same. Okay. So now, one of the things that I want to make sure is that you know that when you are submitting this video, we are not grading your worth. You are, my friend, inherently worthy. And so many of the people that submitted, they're amazing, right? But like showing you what are the things that we are looking for as a host is so freaking important. And so again, just for you to kind of keep on the back of your mind, the 3-point criteria was value, relevance, and the energy or the presence on stage that you are going to bring. Number one most common deal breaker that we saw, and what to do instead, right? So number one was vague topics or only a personal story. Now, so many of our applicants, they were, I want to share my story on stage because I know that when people hear my story, they're going to feel empowered and the power of my story. And I overcame this, and this. But they didn't really have, like, what is the takeaway, right? That people are going to have after hearing your story. Now, why this is important is because while I support you talking about your story 100%, remember, I help women publish books. Okay. So, yes, I want you to tell your story. your story and the takeaway for the audience is where the transformation happens. And it's so, so, so important that you can put those dots together for the audience to have a takeaway. So this would look like something like, after my talk, you'll be able to X, Y, Z? Is it going to be feel more confident? Is it going to be walk away with the knowledge to blah, 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 blah? This is so, so, so important. And brings me to the next one, which was there were a lot of the applications that didn't have a clear title or clear outline. So, for example, like give it a working title, right? Like these are the three things that somebody's going to learn by X, Y, and Z. Like whatever it is your topic, you can say 3 ways to get out of your head and start taking action. And then you're going to get on stage and back up your concepts with your story. But the thing is, me as an event host, my biggest fear is to get on stage and ramble and have the audience be confused and be like, what did that just happen? What did this person, why is she on stage? Right? So this is so, so, so important. Okay. The other one was the wrong fit for the room. So I'm going to give you a very specific example because I gave this feedback. And actually, this is not from this particular year. This was actually from last year, but it's such a good example that I want to use it. The next one is the wrong fit or ignoring the theme of the actual conference or not understanding how to thread your expertise into the theme. Now, I want to tell you this, no matter what you do, you can always, always, always thread your expertise through a conference or why a specific audience would need to learn about that. So I'm going to give you this example. This is actually one of my current clients. She is a travel agent. And last year when she pitched, she was like, I want to teach the attendees at Be Around Live about 3 ways to book their dream vacation. Well, while I love traveling, and actually, she is my travel agent. How is that connected to personal branding or to marketing? Now, this could have been a very easy fix if she would have said something like, how can you like get your trip paid for when you go to speak at events, right? And she could have talked about miles and she could have talked about rewards or something like that. Or, for example, she could have said something along the lines, how traveling actually helps you build a global brand, right? And these are just ideas. I'm literally pulling these out of my head right now. And that's why I'm like, a little bit. But the truth is that you need to be okay. How can I thread what I do to the conference? Let me give you another example of this. So one that was like a lot of the people wanted to talk about mindset and about their story and all of that, but that didn't reflect the value or what they actually did. So let me explain. We actually had somebody submit an application and her 90-second reel was about gaining confidence and on making more money and growing your brand. But her business is about systems. And what she offers and what she sells is actually systems and workflows. And she's actually go high level, white label person, right? Which is a CRM. Now, why this is important is because I want to put people on my stage that they are showing their expertise and they are not just sharing their story to share their story. And this is actually one of the mistakes we see also with people when they go to podcasts or they go to networking events and their pitch doesn't match what it is that they do. And we can go more into that later. We have actually a podcast. I'm going to see if I can quote this, but we have a podcast episode with my friend Sarah Heater, who is going to be talking this year at Be Run Live about not getting ghosted when you pitch to podcasts. But this is actually a big one. Are you talking about something that actually you are an expert at and you can say, hey, your audience will benefit from this because X, Y, and Z? The next one that we saw was actually low energy, whispery, or a monotone delivery. This doesn't mean that you have to have my energy and you have to be, up and down and jumping and everything. But the truth is that as an event host, I am looking at how are you going to look on stage? How are you going to represent my event? The moment an event host is putting you on stage, literally you have that brand of approval from that person. So it's so important that you are putting some thought into how are you showing up. And an easy fix to do this, again, you do not need to have big production, big lightings, microphones, any of that, but standing up, smiling, talk to one person, right? Like look at the camera when you are doing this, like vary the pace, the volume, and end with a punch. There were some of these applications. It was 90 seconds, you guys, and they were long to watch. Imagine giving that person 30 minutes on stage. So this is such a good way for you to practice to show up, right? By applying to events, by applying to be on panels, because you get to test your topics, you get to test you being on camera, you get to test like how are you showing up and what does it look like from the other side, right? And last but not least, actually, it's not the last one. I have more. Sorry, I lied. I said it at the beginning, but I have to say it again. Didn't follow the fucking directions, you guys. And actually, one of the people that did that, I fucking love her. And I was so heartbroken when she did this. And the reason is, yes, I love that you're a rebel. But the thing is that these contest needs to be fair. And for me, for example, integrity is such a part of my brand. So if everybody's following the rules, I cannot not follow the rules. Okay. Like I have to be the person that is creating the criteria and that is keeping the contest fair. Right. Okay. The next one actually surprised me. This is the first time that I actually saw these. Like last year, we did the contest and I never saw these. And I actually was a judge in other contests and I never seen this one before. But it was voiceover edits instead of speaking on camera. Now, why this is a big deal is because, again, right, as an event host, I need to see you. I need to see your presence. I need to see that you actually can stand on stage, that you are going to practice. So if you are doing a voiceover, most likely you're reading it, right? And how can I trust that you're going to put either the time or the effort or the practice to actually be on stage, remember your talk, be ready, be prepared? Again, I don't have a way to know that you're going to fucking rock it, which is literally what we are looking at Be Brand Live. We are looking to give you a space on our stage. So that is your opening door for you to start speaking on bigger stages, right? The next one was so many didn't say their name or their expertise to tie their business to the talk. And I kind of say this earlier when I gave the example of the travelation and then the person that wanted to talk about her own experience but didn't tie it to her lead generation business, right? And the problem with this is that the whole idea, guys, of you going to speak on stage is that you grow. So when you are on stage, what you are doing needs to lead people into saying, oh my God, I want to work with her. I want to know more. So part of you speaking on stage, and maybe not the very first time, but it would be you having some sort of, hey, if you want to know more, here's a QR code of, hey, if you love these, you can follow up this talk with a quiz, for example, or whatever it is. But the whole idea is that you're getting leads. That is why speaking builds your personal brand. If you're showing up and just talking about anything, you're wasting your fucking time. And we are a personal branding, marketing, and sales conference. End of the deal. So, us educating you also through the podcast right now is our way of letting you know, hey, this is how you're going to get your pitch accepted next time. Okay. And then this one was really funny. Some people got the event name wrong. And I'm going to say this with all the love. Putting an event of this magnitude not only is expensive, it is trying, to say the least. The people that put events, they take so much pride on it. And for somebody to not even know the name of the event, that is crazy, you guys. So if you're applying to speak somewhere, this is like you going to a job interview and confusing the companies and telling them that you think you're in an interview for a different company, right? So the whole idea is that you take ownership of these 90 seconds and you are showing the event host, number one, that you're a fucking expert. Number two, that you care. Number three, that you can create change in their audience. Number four, that you actually are going to rock it. And you guys, having the name of the event right is key. Those are the biggest ones that were at the top of my head at the moment of creating this podcast episode. It was so important for me to share with you guys. So let me actually recap this, because I want you to walk away with a framework, right, that you can have. And then I am creating a PDF for you to download if you want to start pitching yourself. And just so you know, this works for podcasts. You can turn these into a podcast pitch on an email, or when you use podcasts, what are they called? Like the applications or whatever, you can use the same structure to turn in your podcast pitch. Okay. So let's actually go through these really quick, because this is kind of like the recap of everything that I just shared with you that we saw as mistakes and what to do instead, right? Number one, you're open, right? Pattern interrupt. Like if you are going on a reel, like you want to have the energy, you want to like, okay, what is the promise of your talk? Right. So an example of these can say, actually, this was a real one from one of our winners. Okay. Most habit advice fails women. In my talk, you will learn the female friendly system that actually sticks and help you create habits that take you to success. I probably butchered it a little bit, but this is literally the entrance that one of our winners actually used. Her name is Alicia Citro. You can go check her out, and she's going to be speaking at Brand Live. But why this is important, because this is covering kind of what I was telling you. Okay, what is my audience going to gain from having you on stage? The number two is the credibility, right? 10 to 16 seconds, like, who are you? What have you done? And what is your proof? Hi, my name is, I help X, Y, and Z do what? Okay. And if you are familiar with any of my frameworks, this is literally the formula for brand clarity, you guys. So head back a few episodes ago and you can find that if you don't know what it is. Then relevance, right? Tie your topic to the event and the audience that this event is servicing, right? So this hits your money and community theme because, or these will help women in their personal brand journey because. So, how do you tie what you do to what the audience wants and the reason they are at this particular event? Number four is the takeaways. And you can take a little bit more time here, but can you actually bullet or give me an outcome driven like takeaway? What is my people going to take away with? So something that I do all the time is like when I pitch somebody and I have like three main topics that I talk about is your audience will walk away with a clear knowledge on how to build an authentic personal brand, put that personal brand on social media without feeling overwhelmed, and how to sell from an authentic place. So I don't know, I just made that up. That is not exactly it. But the reason why I'm saying this is, why do I want you in my stage as an event host? So important. And the close, right? The confidence and the logistics. I deliver with high energy within time. I'm ready for Q&A if desired or whatever it is. Now, your close could even be a call to action to the host on why they should have you. But there is so many things that an event host is afraid of. And I'm going to say this with like candidly, because if somebody starts rambling, if they can stay on time, if they forget they talk, you don't need to be perfect, especially if it's a speaker contest, because obviously it might be one of the first times that you speak on stage. But the truth is, the most likely this person is going to provide you with photos, with video, and you want to put your part to actually make this pitch a success, because this is a representation of the talk you are going to be given. Okay. So I am so excited to hear like what are your takeaways from this, because I know that so many of you actually want to start speaking on more stages, and this is going to help you tremendously. Also, we're going to have a speaker contest next year. So this would be very smart for you to save this episode, study it, and then come pitch me, right? So to wrap this up, I just want to make sure, right, that you understand that when you are pitching yourself for a podcast, for an event, to be on stage, to be like showcase on somebody's platform, you need to put the work. And we just gave you a framework for you to actually do it. So, quick coaching to turn a maybe into a yes, just to close this up, is like if your energy is great, but value is just light, sharpen the takeaways, right? Like how can you, like if you don't understand like what is the value you bring, start thinking what are the takeaways my person is going to have. Now you can have a lot of excitement, but if you don't know how to close it, bring those takeaways. If you are very value driven and you know that your content is fucking amazing, but your energy is flat, maybe you record standing, maybe you walk, maybe you bring a prop or whatever it is that to help you bring that energy, right? Like if you are really quiet. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to be somebody else. I want to make sure of that. But like you actually bring in the energy that you are going to bring on stage. And then I want you to ask yourself, would an organizer know exactly where I fit on their agenda after this video? Good an organizer would actually know what value I bring, that I belong to this audience, and that what I'm talking about is of value, is relevant, and that I can actually deliver it with my best energy. So I hope that you love this episode. And I'm going to say something. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I love you. I would love for you to leave me a review. But also, I am testing something because I've been listening to podcasts lately on Spotify. And I would love, if you are listening on Spotify, if you would leave me a comment. Now, I have no idea how that works. I have no idea, like, if it boosts the episode or no. But one of the things that I know is I would love to hear firsthand if this was helpful. What was your biggest takeaway? And actually continue that conversation on the Spotify comments. Now, again, I have never done this before. This is the first time that this is my call to action. But I would love if you would leave me a comment on Spotify. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, I would love for you to leave me a review. And maybe you tag me on your stories and you tell me your biggest takeaway. Because, guys, like recording here by myself in front of my live on the camera, manifesting generator here. I just need that exchange of energy, and I cannot wait to hear how this episode actually help you. I love you, and I see you next week. Bye.